You're still checking back here, huh? Good. Here I will give you 9 tips to help you be a better Syndicate player. Some random new tips and some I've mentioned before, but it needs to be restated. Tip number 1. Reboot App sucks. Please just understand that and trust my experience and knowledge with the game. I'm trying to help you after all. I've already gone over all I need to with Reboot in my applications breakdown video. So keeping it basic here with my 2 favorite apps that are always in my character loadout. Reboot cannot heal and even better revive other players, cannot allow you to stay in the middle of action, taking fire and being alive like C2C Pulse can. And unlike Backfire, Reboot also cannot knock down enemies that are currently killing you, this knockdown which in turn makes the enemies twice as susceptible to damage should you choose to stay and finish them off or use this as a tactic to hide and recover. At best, Reboot does its job and causes you to get back to your feet and survive a little longer, and speaking for expert difficulty, it is a little longer at that. Whatever has killed you in the first place is already killing you before you control your character after a self-reboot, so prepare for extra deaths and more restarted checkpoints. If playing solo, this is a big struggle. If with other players, they're the ones keeping you alive. Reboot especially isn't helping for other players rebooting you to complete their challenges, and especially so if they went out of their way to attempt to revive you. Not using Reboot helps you to understand the mayhem logics of the game better and thinking on the fly during the real hectic busy moments. All this hassle for an app that costs way too much energy to refill. Tip number 2. Be mindful of your apps and if they are close to filling up or not, and the actions it takes to fill them up. Know that you can use the app if you just performed an action that will fill it back up, but the game hasn't shown this yet due to the small delay registering the action. For example, if you need 1 kill to fill an app, get the kill and immediately use the app when the game shows it's still only partially full. These split seconds can matter between life and death, and with that in mind, again, let's speak in terms of gameplay and expert difficulty. Enemies give you more energy gains for app refills. Sergeant enemies are all over on expert and very common. They give you 500 energy per kill. Just 2 sergeant kills is enough to refill Backfire. 3 of them and 1 or 2 standard enemies mixed with other energy bonuses is enough to refill C2C Pulse, aka your Superman mode. Returning cases to the dropships in certain missions and finishing off armored enemies and rebooting players gives 1,000 or more energy, so you really have energy in abundance to use your apps more to keep dealing business all over the place. Tip number 3. There are 2 other ways in specific sections of stages to gain energy for your apps. These can be strategic to be more prepared for the next area ahead of you. This would be to refill the UGV bot with ammo and, well, killing some civilians. In both Scandinavia and Argentina, you can refill the UGV ammo for energy gains. You only receive energy gains if the UGV has already fired its weapon and you refill the UGV ammo with 1 case. You won't receive any excess energy if you deposit a case in the UGV after it has already been resupplied and has yet to fire its gun. As for civilian kills, Argentina has 2 women which run out of the elevator near the end of the mission on the second to last area, right before you ascend your first set of stairs where the 2 UAVs appear. New England has this group of 5 civilians that run out and head down the hall to the start of the next checkpoint. These are the only civilians in the game that will award energy gains. Tip number 4. You can shoot through dropships with any weapon, without bullet penetration or while using dart vision or not. This is clearly a bug but also a very helpful tip. Mainly the sections directly concealing enemies you are able to shoot through. The stages you run into this to be the most helpful are Scandinavia and Argentina. Scandinavia has this dropship where you last need the UGV to open a path. Use dart vision as the ship is arriving and kill some of the enemies before they jump down at you. At the end of the stage before the agent fight begins, there are soldiers sitting in this dropship. I like to jump down and quickly throw a grenade onto the ship to kill all enemies at once. The grenade damage penetrates the ship as well. Argentina has 2 dropships at the very end checkpoint. One is already there to your left while the other eventually shows up on the right hand side. Tip number 5. Melee execute enemies through obstacles. It doesn't matter if it's a door or a barrier, the game knows there is a close proximity between a player and a CPU enemy and will allow you to melee through surfaces. Tip number 6. Infinite Sprint Slide Combo. Once you have the chip upgrade Infinite Sprint, you can repeatedly go in and out of sprinting and sliding. You just have to activate the other form of movement while doing the opposite. Press the slide button while sprinting, and while sliding, activate sprinting again and repeat. This isn't a faster way to travel or anything, but can help to duck and weave all over. Don't feel limited by your movements. Tip number 7. Escaping a riot lance stun. There isn't much to do here since the enemy accuracy and the difficulty depend on how long you may be stunned and how much damage you take. But to be safe, just in case you are freed sooner, turn away from where you are being stunned and prepare to jump and run behind nearby cover. There is one helpful advantage to if you are being stunned to death. That advantage is if you have the emergency resuscitation chip upgrade. It is a logical bug or more so something overlooked in the game. Emergency resuscitation allows you to be alive briefly when you have 0 health. The enemies in the game at this point think you are dead if you are standing still and being stunned while having no health. These brief few seconds could be used to jump behind cover or melee an enemy for health. You can see in these clips the soldiers stop shooting until you start moving again or start regenerating health. Tip number 8. Survive an electron mace stun. Electron mace enemies like to get really close to you as they stun you. You are relieved from the stun once they reload their mace. During then, you want to run up and melee them. Trying to run off can get you further stunned and killed, and trying to regain your weapons to shoot them back can be slower and again cause you to be stunned. Tip number 9. Be in dark vision whenever possible. There are several chip upgrades that make dark vision very beneficial for you with both health and damage buffs. You may need to let dart refill again before dealing with a large group of soldiers. Definitely try to have dart around when dealing with tougher enemies. The damage buff while in dart is a good advantage during those fights. That's all I have left to share for this video. I hope you've learned something new to apply while playing. Thanks for watching this.